Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. This is season 2, episode 16, and I am extremely excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We have John Priest from Peach Guitars. John, thanks so much for hanging out, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time because I think the first time I saw you guys was watching NAMM coverage on YouTube. And it's funny because every single video you put out, I was like, okay, I love that stuff. I love that stuff because it's like we're in the same kind of mindset with strats and amps and stuff. So I just remember being like, what's the deal with Peach Guitars? And then looking up the history. And then once you guys started showing the shop, I was like, holy crap, I got to get there one day. It looks so cool.
I mean, we've really sort of over the last few years, really since we moved into the new premises that we're in now, we moved in there in 2016. You know, things have really kind of skyrocketed kind of since then, where we could really, you know, do what we've been trying to kind of achieve over the last few years and really, you know, bring it out to the masses a lot more. So yeah, no, it's been good.
It looks like a playground, man. Like I told you that my wife and I were overseas and we went to Iceland and then into London, Scotland too. We were in Scotland too, hanging out. But I was like, I gotta try to get to these music shops that I've always wanted to come to, and we just couldn't at the time.
No.
But next time we go over there, I'm like, I don't care if we go as a family and my wife and my daughter and we're all together. I'm like, you guys can go do your thing, and I'm gonna get on a train and I'm gonna go.
Just come and see us. We'll pick you up from the train station.
Yeah, man. It just looks so great. It looks like, you know, everything that you guys carry, and you guys carry a variety of everything. It's not just super high end stuff.
No, absolutely.
So, and is the upstairs area, is that where all like the choice stuff is?
Yeah, that's where that, like, pre-COVID, you know, the store was obviously the major kind of calling card, as it were, of the business. And we had, you know, completely individual areas set out for acoustics and pedals and, you know, specifically, you know, demo rooms and stuff. And then the high end stuff was upstairs in that place where you said. I think as we open up again, you know, things are going to change around a little bit, but generally that's like upstairs where all the high end, you know, all the different Strat style high end guitars and Telly styles, get all the Gibson stuff and Suhrs and all that were all kind of had their own little places to live.
Yeah, it looks, man, and like even like the amps and I love the fact that you guys have a stage in there where you do like clinics and stuff.
Yeah,
like, so
we've had
cool.
like Josh Smith, we had Joey Landreth, Greg Clark. We've had loads of really, really great players and you know, acts come down and do stuff as well. So it's been great to have it all in house as well. So when you do, you know, sometimes when you do these events and you take them to like the local pub or club or something to do it in, it loses its focus that it's like you know, in the end it is a sales promotional event for the store. And as soon as you take it out, it kind of loses a bit of that. But it's been good, you know, just having to basically not completely tear down the shop or do anything crazy to put these events on, and it's worked out really well. And we can play really loud in there as well, really loud.
Yeah. And like John's saying, he loves the unboxing videos. I do too, John. It's so cool when you guys go through this because it's guitars that we don't get to like put hands on and see every day.
It's always the, you know, like I liken it to you know, back in the day, you know, when I used to check out like the making of movies, you know, before YouTube, when, you know, there'd be something on the TV where they showed like the behind the scenes making of like the Terminator or something like that, you know, and you'd see all this cool stuff going on that you don't see, you know, all the time. And I think it's the same kind of thing. People like to see us, you know, out in the warehouse, you know, lumping everyone, you know, and you can hear like guys talking in the background, you know, and I'm like, shh, be quiet, you know, we're filming, stop swearing, you know, stop this, stop that. And yeah, I guess it's that voyeuristic thing of people just like to see what's kind of behind the scenes, and now, you know, the first look at seeing the guitars and seeing what our opinion is of them as well. So it's it's a fun thing to do, but it's hard as well. You know, those we did a Gibson one yesterday or the day before, I can't remember when it was, and you know, this time, because there was quite a lot of stuff, I was like, let's just get everything out of the boxes. So, you know, we won't open them up. We'll keep them in the cases. But I know it's an unboxing video, but people are just waiting to see, you know, when you first open the case. But when you're like lifting 40 guitars out of the boxes. You got to, you know, move the box around and stuff like that as well. Yeah, I'm like sweating and everything, and everyone's like, I wish that guy would stop grunting. And like, I'm like, well, you come and do it, pal. It's like, it's tough. It's tough.
That's funny, man. Yeah, my buddy Mario said, life goal, visit Peach Guitars before I die.
Make it happen.
We're all gonna go, man.
Yeah.
So John, I wanted to talk to you. So like at the beginning of the show, obviously we're going to talk more about guitars and Peach and everything, but like,
sure,
I want to get to know John. So like, you know, I know you're a great player, by the way. I mean, all the videos I've seen of you rocking, man, it's just like your finesse and your speed and your accuracy and everything is spot on. It's amazing to watch.
Very kind. Thank you.
No problem, man. But like, I wanted to know, I have a very specific moment in my life when music entered and has not left and never will. Can you pinpoint a specific moment in your childhood or whatever that you were like, oh wow, like music is it, man, I want to do this?
I mean, I've always been, you know, surrounded by music, and my dad has always had a fairly eclectic taste in music. So we would listen from anything from, you know, in the house, from Supertramp to, you know, the Beatles, you know, right through to Chris Rea, you know, all kinds of stuff, you know, and some classical music, you know, and he did have some really terrible 80s pop stuff as well that he used to dance around the living room to as well. But yeah, I've always been surrounded by good music. And I think just one day I remember sitting in the hallway at my mum and dad's house, and I was sitting there with it was either a squash racket or a badminton racket, just sitting there. And my mum comes over to me and she says, you know, I see in the, you know, paper, or we've had a leaflet, there's a music school, you know, would you like to have some guitar lessons? So that was kind of it, really, you know. Nice. Sat there kind of, you know, I don't even think there was any music playing. I was just sat there with the badminton racket, flicking the, you know, the chord on it. And that was kind of it, really, how it started. So.
What do you think the music was that your dad played that really hooked you? Like, do you remember one record that was like mind blown?
There's a few stages probably of my guitar development and guitar interest that really probably, you know, changed the way that I moved off into different directions. But first of all, it was probably hearing Peter Green for the first time, and Fleetwood Mac, and you know, my dad used to play a lot of like compilation rock albums and blues albums and things like that. And yeah, it was probably hearing Oh Well, I would say it was for the first time, and you know, listening to that stuff. And you know, my dad then told me about Peter Green, you know, in Fleetwood Mac and what happened to him, and you know, you know, my dad didn't have or hasn't got a, you know, even though he's the partner in the business at Peach, he didn't have then a background in music, just a big, you know, music fan. He had his own car business, you know, and obviously one of my goals was achieved, you know, being a big Peter Green fan, getting this thing here a lot of years later. So this was the Peter Green Collector's Choice #1. So the first guitar that they made in the Collector's Choice range. So obviously Gary Moore was custodian of it for a few years, and now we know Kirk Hammett is the guy with it. So this is so yeah, it's like, I don't know if you can see there, but it has like the pretend brake on the back of the headstock and stuff, but it's all yeah, so it's got the out of phase, you know, thing in the middle there and stuff. So that was a good prop, wasn't it? That was a good segue.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But then after that, you know, I sort of got into you know, listening to Peter Green and Hendrix and all the stuff and that, and then I just kind of, I think probably just at the time I lost a bit of interest in it. I wasn't, you know, doing a little bit of practicing and then not really getting any further. And then we found another guy that was going to give me some guitar lessons that my dad knew, a guy called Brian Hill. And then around that time, I heard a compilation blues album that had Stevie Ray Vaughan Commit a Crime on it. So not even one of his really, like, not like Texas Flood or Pride and Joy or anything like that. A pretty, you know, it's just a cover that he did on the Live Alive album. And I heard that, and, you know, my dad could see that I really, really loved it. And, you know, I must have only been probably 12 or 13, that sort of age. And then he went out and got a copy of Couldn't Stand the Weather on CD. and we listened to that the first time, and I was still kind of I still thought that Hendrix was like the ultimate, which I still kind of do anyway. But first time I heard the version of Voodoo Child, I was like, yeah, I was in denial. Hendrix, it's Hendrix. No way, Hendrix is the man. And I kept listening to it all the time, and and then that really changed my life. Really, hearing that album properly for the first time. I still haven't learned how to play Scuttlebutt properly, but about 25 years later, but I'm getting there now.
You're pretty dang close, man. I mean, there's a couple people that I hear play that can do that thing, and like it's Jesse Davey, Scott McKeon, yeah. I mean, there's not many people. I've not ever really tried to get that in my hands. I think because I'm like, well, there's other people that do that better than I do. I don't need to worry about doing it. But how did you like get into working on that stuff? Were you just transcribing and like all his tunes and all that?
I think the thing is, and I watched your chat with Scott yesterday, and there's something that he sort of touched upon, which kind of does restrict you in a certain way. And I've noticed this with other guitarists that really get into Stevie Ray's playing and his tone and everything, is you go down that rabbit hole, and then every time you pick up a guitar, no matter whether you're playing chords or you're playing it in that way, it's hard to, I think I kind of went from not really being able to play that well into just studying that stuff. And then, that's kind of how I play guitar now in that style. And there's a lot of other great guitarists that I love, obviously, as well. But I think the thing with it is, once you go down that rabbit hole of getting into that sort of style, it's hard to get out. Whereas if you're a really great proficient guitarist and then you try to learn that style, it's also really hard as well, because, you have to, when you're playing that Stevie Ray rhythm stuff, it's kind of, there's so much going on, and you're muting the strings, you're doing some hybrid picking with your picking hand and stuff that, even I've heard really like amazing guitarists, that are a million times better than I ever will be, try and play the Stevie stuff and really struggle, because it's like always like, Stevie's timing was incredible, but he could just shift in and out of like, in and out of the bar, and add these extra licks in and stuff that, really make your ears stand up, and you think, wow, how is he doing that stuff? And it is not. I think it's really playing in a trio. He played in that trio for such a long time, and he had to fill up so much space. And the sound when he's like soaring away at the guitar, even when he's playing just complex lead lines, you can almost hear that he's muting all the other stuff to give it, that bigger, fuller sound as well. So it is a hard style to achieve, but it's also kind of restrictive at the same time if you want to, finger pick on an acoustic guitar or play jazz or anything like that, because you're just such into that, world of playing guitar. So, but not a bad problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I feel like Stevie was a drummer too, in a way, very much so. And another player, Philip Sace.
Yeah.
He's another dude. The other day he posted something on Instagram, and he was playing, I think he was playing his Yamaha acoustic. And I was like, does he have a beat in the background? Is he playing to a backing track? And he wasn't. It was like him. And it sounded like a drummer. It sounded like there was almost like a whole thing going on. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude, I don't understand. Like, so like the aggression and the like precision that comes from your right hand with that stuff has always been mind-boggling to me, to the point where when I wanted to try to figure it out, I was like, nah, I'll play slide. I'll slow down. I'll learn how to mute with my right hand and like all that. And that's what I'll do, But there's a stigma around people like, oh, another Stevie copy, whatever. I'm like, dude, there's a lot of skill involved in achieving that sound though, So I'm like,
it totally is like a, its own thing, that style, trying to play that way, which is, the thing that I love about Stevie's style and everything is a lot of people say, oh, he's just copying Hendrix or anything like that. But I think with Stevie, he just got all of his inspirations and merged it all into one. And like when I hear someone like Doyle Bramwell play Albert King stuff, he does it just absolutely, you can't tell the difference whether it's Albert King or Doyle Bramwell. It's just it's just scarily close. But Stevie, the way that he did it it still sounded like him. He can, you know, you can hear the Albert Collins, BB King, Freddie King, Hendrix, all that stuff in there, but you know it's him all the time. And that's why I think that he's left such a lasting legacy, and so many guitarists aspire to sound like that. You know, I look on Instagram, you know, there's some young guys that follow me, you know, that I hear them play some of the stuff, the Stevie stuff, you know, and you can just tell that Stevie's music and the way that he was has had the same kind of impact as what it kind of had on me as well. So it's really, it's really, I don't know of any other guitarist that has that effect on people.
No. And to be like in that group of, to even mention like him and someone like Hendrix in the same sentence, it's like, yeah, if he was alive today, he'd be like, stop it. You know, like I'm sure he'd be like,
Oh, and what Hendrix did, you know, in a, you know, 4-year career, you know, completely changed the way that everyone thinks about electric guitar, full stop. So it's not, you know, it's not a case of Stevie Ray end of for me at all. You know, I love him and I love the music and the live performances, but, you know, all that stuff that went before him also made him what he was. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. So when you were young and you're playing, so when did you actually first start playing guitar? Were you were in your teens, or were you younger than that?
I think I was younger than that. I must have been maybe 10 or 11. And I played for a few years, and my mum took me to music lessons, and I never really kind of, I don't think I found you know, someone that I really connected with, you know, as a tutor. And now, you know, obviously if you want to learn to play guitar, you know, there's the Fender Play thing, there's YouTube, there's everything. Whereas then it was like you're relying on someone else's, you know, guidance to push you in the right direction. And I had a couple of guys that I just don't think I ever really clicked with, and they were trying to, you know, teach me how to play Summer of '69 and stuff like that, and it just didn't really resonate with me at all, you know, at that time. And then there was the guy, I waited for a couple of years, and there was the guy Brian Hill that I spoke about earlier, who was a friend of my dad's. And once I hooked up with him and he started giving me some guitar lessons, that was when, you know, I started really getting back into it. And I would have been about sort of 13, 14 then at that age. So
when did you start gigging and playing in a band? How old were you?
I think I was 16, and my dad basically, once he started seeing that I was getting, you know, to a decent standard on guitar, he was like, "Hey son, you know, you need to go and play with some other people, you know, you know, play with a drummer, play with a bass player, and that's going to, you know, help your skills and obviously form part of a band." So I tried to find a drummer and a bass player and stuff, and I didn't have any luck. And in the end, my dad just decided that he was going to start playing the drums just so that we could play together. And within probably a year or less than that, we were out playing Stevie Ray stuff, you know, in pubs and little small clubs and stuff like that. And you know, and he still plays now as well. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So did you were you just doing covers in the bars and the pubs and stuff mostly?
Yeah.
Did you ever get into an original band, that kind of thing, where you writing music?
Well, I had an original band in my sort of early 20s called Crazy 88, and that was like a more like original riff based rock kind of stuff. It was more like a cross between Rage Against the Machine and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, with just blatant SRV rip-off solos in it. For me. And but yeah, no, back when, you know, I first started gigging, we were called Pride and Joy, so it was all you know, all Stevie stuff. And we, you know, one of the first gigs we ever actually did was supporting the Hoax with Jesse Davey, of course. And you know, and the first time I heard him, I think I was actually angry. I was so angry because I was like, you know, I thought I was doing well. I thought I had the good tone and everything, and I heard him, and I was like, God, his sound is just so good, and he sounds just like, you know, he's got Stevie's technique, absolutely everything down. And it made me a bit sort of like down for a while, but you know, kept practicing, and, you know, kept trying new gear and stuff like that. And over the years, you know, kept in contact with Jesse, where now we actually have you know, a working relationship with the Kingtone pedals and Peach. So that was cool how that worked out. But yeah, that was one of the first gigs. So
that's neat.
Cool.
I feel like timelines are so precious, man. Like for something like that to come back full circle, that you're like now have a business relationship with him.
Yeah.
And his stuff oh my gosh, his stuff. I mean, like I can almost have a whole pedal board of just his stuff now.
Yeah,
The only things I don't have is I don't have the blues power. The things that I want are like the blues power and the Octoland. I haven't tried those yet.
Yeah. Oh, the blues power is my favorite. That's the one for me. Yeah, I love the dualist. That's it. That's a great drive pedal. But the blues power for me is just, you know, I could pretty much just go out and do a blues gig with just that, really. You know,
tell me
if
why.
I want to work really hard, if I want to really work hard, then I could do it. But to me, it just sounds like it just really, really sounds like an amp turned up really loud. Whereas the dualist, and obviously, you know, it has its roots in the TS style camp, which for me always sounds better, you know, into a cranked amp. Whereas the blues power can be a really great boost pedal just with, you know, into a dirty amp or stacking with another pedal. But the blues power also has, like, when you do crank up the gain a little bit, it does give you that real cranked, you know, like you know, glassy kind of clean but dirty kind of sound as well. Which, you know, if you're into that Stevie thing, it's having that clean yet dirty tone is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, it's next on my list as far as getting stuff.
Yeah, right,
pedals. So when you got in, how old were you again when you started working in the industry as far as like retail and everything?
Well, I was actually, I did my work experience. I don't know if that's a thing in America. It's when you're at school, you do like a 2-week placement in a business. You know, so you know, there was guys that were going to like you know, other retail stores, or, you know, work in a pub kitchen or things like that. And just before I did my work experience, we stumbled a tiny little guitar shop called Peach Ideas Sales and Marketing, it was called. And he actually used to sell guitars and metal detectors. So it was a pretty strange combination, but one that worked. And the guy that ran it was a guy called Derek Peachy, which is where the name comes from. And I did my work experience there when I was 15. And then when I left school, I just started working for Derek. And then it started to turn into Peach Guitars because he bought a slightly bigger unit over the way. And I worked for him until I was 20 or 21, I can't remember. And yeah, basically just worked in the retail shop selling guitars, and I still got lots of great friends from that time. And I left there for 2 years and went to work for the importers of Martin guitars and Mesa Boogie at the time. And I was like a product specialist for them. So I'd go around to other guitar stores and train them on, you know, how to fix things, or how to, you know, get the best out of a Mesa Boogie Mark IV with a graphic and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, to a lot of guys, it was, you know, it was kind of hard work to stay on top of that range. So I did that for a couple of years. And that, in the end, it really got me down the traveling. They were a great company to work for, Westside, and I'm still great friends with the directors of the company. But it just become, you know, the driving all around the country. I think once I went from Southampton, which is right, and obviously in the south of the UK, right up to Glasgow the next day, right up in Scotland. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'm a mummy's boy. I need to come home. I need to come home. And I literally phoned Derek on the way back. And I said, Derek, can I have my old job back at the shop? And he was like, come back and I'll give you more money. What? So I was like, happy days, I'll be back. And then, and then after a couple of years, Derek decided that he wanted to retire. So me and my dad bought the business off of Derek, and the rest is history.
Man, so the new location, how long have you guys been in the new location?
Since 2016.
Okay.
So I've been there a little while now.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, what's your favorite part of owning a business like this?
I don't think I'll ever lose the excitement of, you know, doing the unboxings and you know, I love the day-to-day. Like my main role in the business basically is securing the deals, paying the bills, and, you know, and getting us the right stock all the time. And it's not an easy task, because you're not on the phone just going, oh, hey, you know, we've sold, you know, another 5 custom shop Fenders. Can you send 5 more? We're literally, with Fender and Gibson, we're always planning 6 to 12 months in advance. So you're ordering your stock, you know, and thinking, you know, how many maple neck relics are we going to need in 6 months' time? How many rosewood neck HSS guitars are we going to need? So it's not a straightforward role. There's a lot of you know, data manipulation that we have to get out of the system. I speak to the sales guys, see what they're getting asked for, and then we try and just get the right stock profile in, and always have, you know, our motto is probably, or our slogan is probably going to just end up changing into the best guitars all the time. And that's my thing that I'm just trying to achieve. I just want our customers to have the best choice. And when they come onto our website, go, geez, these guys have got, you know, 100 custom shop strats, or, you know, 150, you know, Suhrs to choose from, and all that stuff. And that's what I love the most. I mean, there's lots of things I don't love about running a business, but the good still outweighs the bad, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you basically have to forecast what's going to sell.
Yeah.
That is
especially
tough.
On, with, you know, with Gibson, they have like an order plan where you have to commit to a certain amount, you know, a budget that you have to split between, you know, the whole product range, you know, and that includes the acoustics, Epiphone, USA, custom shop. And, you know, the biggest thing that I probably love actually about running the business is pre-COVID was, you know, flying out to Nashville, going to LA for the NAMM show. When I go to Nashville, I've got some great friends out there, and I'd go to the Gibson custom shop, pick out tops, and then they get turned into guitars. And, you know, it's just a great process, you know, and when you're talking to customers, you can say, like, you know, I know that's a great guitar because, you know, I tried to help spec that one out and get it as good as I could, you know, for you. So.
And are you guys, like, you know, basically one of the only, I guess, guitar shops in the UK that's carrying some of this stuff, like Xotic and Suhrs?
Yeah, Xotic we have exclusively. Suhrs, there's less than a handful of dealers. And then with the Gibson custom shop and Fender custom shop, there's you know, there's obviously quite a lot of dealers that carry that stuff, but again, only a very, very small handful that would have anywhere near the same amount as what we've got in one place.
Yeah,
so
that's why we all have to go.
yeah, exactly. And here's a nice little exclusive for you as well. We've we said about it on a forum a few weeks ago, but we've actually we've got a plec machine coming as well. So I've ordered a plec machine, spent a lot of money on that, and in around a month's time, we'll be taking delivery of that. So our commitment to our customers is, you know, is stronger than ever. You know, we were talking before you came on the show, before we went live, and you said, you know, the concerns that you have about buying a guitar, you know, $4,500, you know, that might be, you know, in Texas or something like that. There's no way that you're going to be able to go and check that guitar out, not unless you plan something to do it. We want to be able to get to a point where customers know that we have the best stuff, and if you want that guitar plecked, it can become part of the service. And you know, the plec, I mean, when you get your Fender custom shop, get it plecked, and it will blow your mind. Basically, it will just be the best of all worlds coming together, because you'll have that ultimate playability which you've been used to with your Suhrs, but just the ultimate tone of a true Fender.
Yeah. The luthier that sets up my guitars in Baltimore actually has a plec machine.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I've had him do that to a couple of my guitars, not my Suhrs, because the stainless steel frets are like, I can't eat through those at all.
No way.
But the nickel Fender frets, man, yeah, I wore the hell out of those over the years. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's fun to watch that thing work too, man.
Like, it's amazing. Yeah. And you know, we just want to get to a point where, you know, a customer can buy a guitar off us and just really feel that, you know, it's going to be at its best as soon as it comes out of the box, and we'll be the only retailer in the UK that's got one. So
that's dope, dude. So let's talk about the goodies you brought today. You have a plethora of guitars.
There's a few things stashed around in here. Would you want to look at some Fenders or some Gibsons, or
let's start with the Gibsons and then go to the Fenders, because I know that Fenders are our love. So let's end.
They are, yeah. Right. So all these guitars, apart from a few that I'm going to show you, these are all guitars that have just come our way over the years. You know, I stopped going out and looking for guitars for myself years ago because, you know, I'm lucky to have a few of these bits and pieces already, but there's a few choice pieces that come through the door that don't get shared. They have to stay.
Yeah, man.
So this is one of the first ones that we got. So this is, you've not seen this, 1953 Les Paul.
Man.
So yeah, hell of a beast. And this came from a guy, I can't remember exactly how the deal went, but I was trying to put him off basically from doing it because it was a bum deal for him. You know, he'd had this guitar a long time, and I was like, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And he was like, but I really, really want, you know, the guitar that you have. And you know, it was an expensive guitar. I can't remember what it was. You know, what was it? I can't remember now, but you know, I said, don't do it. Because you know, when are you going to be able to buy another one of these again? And he still said, look, you know, I want to get this guitar, and you know, I think we've probably had it about 10 years now. But yeah, it's yeah. So you see the serial number there, but it's in really great condition. Looks like it had a Bigsby on it at some point, but it's just a really, really cool, you know, old 50s Gibson,
dude.
So yeah,
was he
very, very cool.
Did you have a burst or something in there that he was trying to get, or? Like,
no, I think it was like a really expensive, you know, like one of the tribute Fenders, something like that. You know, like a Jeff Beck thing, or I can't remember exactly how the deal went now. But I said just don't do the deal, and he still went ahead. But whatever.
Dude, John, how heavy is that guitar?
He's probably about 8.5 pounds. Not heavy at all. You know, it's certainly not a backbreaker.
That's cool.
So next up is this one.
Ooh,
57 special.
Oh man,
it stinks to high heaven. When I brought all these guitars home yesterday, and my wife came into the room we're in now, and she was just like, there's all the old cases, you know, the smell of these guitars, you know, once the tobacco, the nicotine and everything, and like the old cases, the glue just goes like a bit funky over time. And, you know, we had to take them all upstairs, the cases, because the room was stinking.
Oh, man. So, thank you for doing that. Tell your wife I said I'm sorry, but thank you for doing that.
Well, you know, she understands now after all this time. So it's another really cool guitar, which is a favorite of mine. So this is a 67 SG. So this is Prime Angus. Prime Angus did a thing there, didn't I? It's signed by someone on the back. Oh, my earbuds just popped out. Let me put that back in. Yeah, so it's signed by someone on the back. I tell everyone it's Angus Young, but it's obviously not. So yeah, it's another cool one.
That's rad, man.
So we've got this other one here, which is, I can't remember the year of it, but I know this is one that Eli would love.
Oh,
Two Rock.
Yeah.
So it's an old ES355 stereo.
Man, and it has the baritone on it?
Yeah, and it's the proper stereo as well.
Dang, dude.
I mean, really like this next one as well.
How do all these play? Do they all play well? And
they all play. They play great. I mean, a lot of them, you know, the frets are starting to wear down now, and they can be a little bit, you know, rattly and buzzy and stuff. But they're not the sort of thing I'd probably ever gig. But if you want to use it on a studio track, you know, or just some layering and stuff, it's enough to, you know, to get it all done with those. So this was the 47 ES300. So, and it's got an original 50s Bigsby on there as well. But this thing just sounds amazing. You just sit there twiddling away like that.
Is that dog ear noisy or is it
super noisy and microphonic, everything?
Yeah. That's kind of the you know, the beauty of those old instruments too. Like, you know, hearing some buzz or, you know, hum.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff as well. You can hear like, you know, on some of the old records, you can hear someone picking up the guitar and talking through like the pickups. They're so microphonic and they have that squeal and that sound. But that's why, you know, you just get so much clarity, even when they've got the amps really cranked. You get everything just comes out so clean and clear. So the last, I mean, I showed you that green.
Show that
Let me just show
PRS
you
real quick.
one more.
Oh, okay.
This is like the final Gibson. So this is the oldest guitar I own, and I don't think I'll ever get one any older than this. So this, we believe, is around about 1913, 1914, and this is the stinkiest one of the lot. So this is an L4.
Oh man,
it's just a beautiful thing.
Is that the kind of thing, and I could be totally wrong, but is that the kind of thing that like Django would have played? Like something like that?
Well, I think it's kind of almost like the Americanized version of that kind of thing. The Selma guitars, yeah, they would have obviously been around at that same kind of time, but I guess this would have been Gibson's take on that type of guitar. So, but yeah, it's got that kind of thing going on. And I don't know if you can, you probably won't be able to see there, but it says the patented July 1910.
Oof. Oof.
So very,
look at
very
the checking.
cool.
Is there like cool checking on that too?
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
Man, you can. I saw it a little bit when you held it up. It looks so cool. Oh man, that's really neat.
Right, I'll show you that PRS then.
Yeah, and you got to tell the story behind that one too.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a 85 custom. So that's the year that they first started making PRSs, and well, the custom 24 when they first become a company, and they started making an actual model rather than Paul making the things that he did at the time. And this one is seal number 118. So it's in incredible condition as well. With a lot of these guitars from that time, when you take the pickups out, you can see they've really faded. But this guitar, you can just see it's been a real case queen and has kind of lived in its case that whole time. But it's in incredible condition. It's so glossy and shiny.
You can tell.
Yeah, it's like one just straight off the shelf.
So how did you end up with that one, John?
This was just another one where a guy came in and did. He came in and was like, "Look, I know my guitar's worth a lot more than the one that I'm buying, but I don't want it anymore." So, okay, that's fine. And I know he, it wasn't like he'd had the guitar a while. He was like, I'm not a PRS guy. He said, I bought it as an investment, but it's too expensive just to be sat there when you've got this lovely thing hanging on the wall that I want. And so I was like, cool, no problems. That's fine by me. So another guitar for the collection.
That's the thing, man. I feel like anytime I'm like on the verge of having seller's remorse, like if I sell these two Suhrs that I have, part of me is like, oh, I've loved them for 5 years and I took meticulously good care of them. They don't have a scratch on them, blah, blah, blah. I threw a Thornbucker in the one. It sounds so much better and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, will I have seller's remorse? I'm like, I'm not playing it. I'd rather somebody play it, And
you could buy another Suhr in 2 or 3 years' time and you'd love it just as much, basically. It would be, there with Suhrs, there is no the one because they're so good. Every guitar is built so well that's why you feel like you're probably, I need to find this Fender that's going to really resonate with me. And I have that with my Dale Wilson guitar.
Oh yeah, that thing's badass.
Yeah, this is my absolute favorite guitar out of everything that I own and one that I play the most. So this is based on a 59 Strat.
Yeah.
And it's got a set of MF pickups in there from Mark Foley and their, SRV set, basically called the number ones. And
I don't know that company.
MF Guitars. It's what Matt Schofield uses his pickups, and also Scott McKeon has a signature set. So UK maker. Okay. I'll get you guys hooked up, but they are seriously, seriously good. Very, very kind of low output, but they don't have like a lot of the Fender pickups when they do their low output thing. They sound great for like the chimey Maya type sort of stuff, but when you crank them up with some gain, they don't have any kind of bottom end response. But these do. They have that really nice kind of clean, rich bell-like Strat tone, which we all love, in positions 2 and 4 of the Strat. But when you put some gain on it, it really, really, really sounds good.
Have you tried Jesse's Bluebird pickups?
Yeah, I had a set of those. They're great as well. I mean, there is so much great stuff out there, and those pickups. With Jesse and everything that he does, he's right. It's like that whole rig just works perfectly for him. It's
Right.
perfect. You know, if you put any other brand's pedal into his rig and took something out, you know, it would still sound amazing, because Jesse gets a great tone out of anything that he plays, and he's such a fantastic player. But it is all made for him, and I just found with those pickups, they maybe had a little bit more spank to them for me. But you know, you're splitting hairs, really. You're really splitting hairs. So you know, I'd be happy with either of them, basically. So they're my top two choices.
Nice.
So for the other Fender stuff, I'll show you a couple of old pieces that I've got Fender wise. So this was a guitar that I used to play a lot. So this is a 62 Strat with this cool pin-up decal on there.
Yeah, that's neat.
This is a really great guitar. I mean, this guitar has been hammered, not by me, I'd like to point out. Before I got it, you know, it's got a like a crack in the wood there. I mean, it was cheap, the guitar, when I got it, relatively speaking, but it's just a monster. And yeah, so that's a really, really great Strat from 62. And it actually has, when I got it, the neck pickup didn't work. And I went through a few different sets of, you know, pickups in the neck there. And Paul Reed Smith actually made me a pickup to go in it, but I put it in and it sounded terrible. So well, it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. It was too funky and clean sounding. So the pickup in it now is actually one of the Scott McKeon pickups that he has from MF, you know, and then that's kind of how I started talking to Mark at MF Guitars about making pickups for me. So that's a very, very cool sounding guitar. And then my actually, let me just show you this telly first.
And let me ask you something really quick, John. So
sure,
what's the big difference? Do you feel a big difference between like a 62 neck and a 64? Are they pretty similar?
I've got a 63 Strat as well, which is totally stock, and it's probably, you know, one of the cleanest ones I've seen, which come from the original owner as well. But that guitar is, I think, when you start getting to 60, 64, 65, they're kind of just a little bit flatter at the back, you know, right down the middle, you know, and you hear all these conflicting reports on Fender, like why they went to the bigger headstock and why did the necks change, and you hear stories of like the you know, the machine wearing out, you know, so it wouldn't cut so much wood away, and it was cutting more wood into the back, you know, or taking more wood out, and that was why it was flatter. But you know, there's a reason why those pre-CBS guitars, you know, are so revered, you know, going right up to 63, 64, because it is the perfect blend of pickups, the lightweight bodies, you know, the necks are so good. And this is a 63 telly.
Ooh.
And it's had a few parts changed on it, but it's just a really good, solid, great sounding guitar.
Love that color too, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get a new Lake Placid blue that looks like that, really. Not, you know, you can get a Dale Wilson to paint you one, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. I love tellies too, man. The Suhrs telly that I have is something. There's some magic in that guitar. I keep it in C standard, and it loves it. It absolutely loves that tuning.
Yeah. And the necks and everything are just rock solid, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
So you can put those heavy strings on. And that's the thing, you know, that you might miss when you get the a custom shop, you know, being able to adjust the truss rod up the top, all that kind of stuff. And you know, Suhrs are great. I love their guitars as well, but you know, you need to have them all. Suhrs, Fenders, everything. Yeah.
Tell my wife, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's, you know, I've done well in that regard, haven't I? I can. Yeah, it's work. I'm just bringing it home. It's just for work, this guitar. So yeah, next up, as everyone knows, my passion and the real reason why I got into playing guitar was obviously Stevie Ray Vaughan and his music and everything. And I actually got this guitar last year, and this was actually one that I did have to pay top money for. But it's the first replica they made. Well, not the actual first one, but from the run that they made that John Cruz did when they first took Stevie's guitar apart. And did the full replica of it and stuff. Yeah. So, you know.
Oh, and it has the custom sticker on it too?
Yeah, it's got it all on there.
Yeah.
So this is basically, this guitar is a replica of kind of how the guitar is now. You know, I don't know if you can see there. There's like the wood is almost like worn right through. You know, it's probably like 3 or 4 mil down into the body that it's really chunked through and stuff. And then a few years later, they brought out another version for the Custom Shop's anniversary, and it was based on kind of the way that the guitar looked at the Montreux Festival and around that time. So I got that as well, obviously.
That's the one with the SRV on the horn. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it. So they did this, and you can see it has a lot less wear on it. The black switch tip on the back, you know, it's not looking quite so grubby. Still has the nickel hardware on there as well. Yeah. So they did that, and it came with you had to buy the Jimmy Vaughan one as the matching set to go, you know, the matching guitar to go with it.
You had
so
to.
This is it there. You had to, yeah.
Oh man.
So that's it there. And like my old Strat's got that pin-up decal thing on there.
Yeah, that's great. I love the subtlety of the SRV you just showed with the SRV on the horn. I just kind of like, it's not that I think that the big SRV on the pick guard is, you know, a problem, but like there's something about the subtlety of that guitar that resonates. The necks on those look great too. Show them the back of the first one, the neck of the first one, because that neck, the back of it looks amazing.
I mean, I would never play this out.
Yeah, that looks cool.
You know, I love my Dal Wilson guitar and stuff. You know, and if I want to go and do some Stevie stuff, that would do the trick really, really well. Man. And then where's the where is it? There it is. This guy here, of course. No Stevie set could be complete without Lenny.
That one's so cool, man.
Yeah.
What pickups are in that?
They're just well, this was originally the original guitar was a 65 Strat. So the pickups from that era were slightly different bobbins and different. I believe they were different magnets to the original 60s, early 60s pre-CBS guitars. And it does have, you know, obviously along with the maple neck, it does have a kind of a brighter, more kind of spongy sort of sound to it as well. And but that sounds great, that guitar, it really does, you know, and it definitely nails the essence of the original. And then the last one I've got to show you is one that's going to appeal to the Mayer fans as well. So this was the reverse proto Strat, which was a guitar that the original guitar was like a run that Fender were going to do with the Hendrix family in I think it was maybe 85 or 86. And they made these original prototypes to give out to the Hendrix family and to give out to artists. And Stevie Ray ended up buying one. And if you watch any of the old bootlegs from around sort of between 86, 88, you used to play it a lot on Superstition, Willie the Wimp, a few of the other tracks like that. And then later on, I know John Mayer managed to get one of the original prototype guitars as well. And then he took that to the Fender Custom Shop. And then the Fender Custom Shop did this run of limited edition versions of that guitar as well. So
yeah, what's the deal with the skunk stripe on the back of the neck? So that's how my Strat is. And I can't remember. I was a young player at some point. I remember some older dude like was throwing shade at me because my neck had a skunk stripe, and I'm like, what?
well, generally, when on a Fender, when a guitar has a fingerboard, it doesn't have a skunk stripe, right? Because the on a one-piece maple neck like this, they put their truss rod in from the back, and so that's why you have that plug there, the walnut plug that just seals the truss rod in place. And obviously on the rosewood fingerboard guitars, I mean, I know does your guitar have a rosewood fingerboard? Your Fender, yeah. I don't really know why they do that now, but traditionally, you know, when the guitars had a rosewood fingerboard, you know, the truss rod was put in before the fretboard, and then the fretboard was put on, and then you didn't have, you know, the skunk stripe on the back.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I was like, why does mine have that if that's the case? It's interesting. So
yeah, I think on the modern ones they do that because of headstock adjustment basically, so you can adjust the truss rod down at that end instead. So
yeah, dude, thanks for bringing that. I woke up today, guys, and usually when I wake up, I'll look at my phone to wake my brain up for like 5 minutes. And that was the first thing I sent a picture, and this whole room was just covered with guitars. And I was like, yeah, that's the best thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
Oh, so thanks
for
bringing
like, those. This isn't everything. There's a few other bits and pieces, obviously, that are snaffled back. And I drove home like Morgan Freeman from the shop yesterday. Yeah, drove home, all this stuff in my car. So.
Oh man, that's so great. I wanted to ask you too. So like, as far as like current gear, so there's a lot of pedal nerds in here.
Yeah.
Right now, a bunch of my friends that are in here and subscribers for my channel and everything, we all love pedals. Mm-hmm. And I saw you demoing the Gravity pedal. That's the last time I saw you playing your Dale Wilson. Is there any new stuff that you're like completely floored with that the first time you plugged it in, you're like, holy crap, this thing is game changing?
Yeah, well, I love the I've got the Gravity pedal down here, actually. I'll turn this off, I'll show you. I mean, this thing isn't, I'm sure Henrik Nordvang wouldn't be upset at me saying this wasn't a groundbreaking pedal. It is a TS10 and a clon, in one pedal, and you can set the order, and there's a few other clipping options, and there's stuff, inside dip switches to change the tone and stuff. But the problem was with TS10s, they weren't really made that well. And, the pots weren't very, very decent quality, and, the bypass was awful and stuff. And obviously, Stevie's later tone, and then obviously John Mayer is a big fan of the TS10. Mm-hmm. So what he's done is kind of put those pedals there into a box, and it does the job really well. And for me, if I want to cover all of the Stevie tones, pretty much as close as I can, I think this, and then either the Blues Power or the Dualist would get me close to Texas Flood tone all the way through to like the later Stevie type sort of sounds, bit kind of clearer sounding maybe.
Yeah.
But in terms of other new stuff that's coming along, I mean, there is just so much good stuff, and pedals are flavor of the month, aren't they? They can be for a lot of players, because everyone will see that John Mayer's got this new overdrive. Everyone goes out and gets one, or Joey Landreth's got a new drive pedals or a new modulation or something. So everyone goes out and gets one and stuff. And I kind of feel with the pedal market, we almost, a lot of us, we don't want too much change. I want to sound like Stevie Ray. I want to sound like David Grissom or Billy Gibbons. All these guys, we kind of don't really want to look too much forward, do we? We're always looking over our shoulder, going, "Oh man, I wish I had Stevie's tone," or "Man, I wish I had Peter Green's sound," or something like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff for the technical guys and the shoegazy type crowd and all that coming through. But perhaps I'm a bit kind of out of touch with that. I'll let all the younger guys that work for me figure out all that stuff.
That's great. I actually talked to Henrik maybe a month ago or something like that, and I think I'm going to have him on, and we're going to talk about
Oh yeah, great guy,
stuff. Yeah. So, but man, it's just like there's so much that you can choose from today, and I think that's the thing is like, so I'm 41, we'll be 42 soon, and I think that for me, like, I'm only now starting to realize one of the reasons I want to sell this Suhrs, because when I bought it, I bought the surf green and I put a tortoise guard on it. I got like a different tortoise guard, and I call it the Joey Caster because it looks like it's Suhr.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like playing in open C and stuff. I'm like, Mark, you're a grown man. You need to have your own identity now. Like you know how to play well enough in this tuning that you need a guitar. And I always harken back to when I first started playing slide, there was a Facebook group for Derek Trucks. It's for all these cats. We all appreciate Derek Trucks, and we're all learning how to play an open E and all that. And, we're all trying to sound like Derek, but I think Derek would be like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, sound like yourself, man. Like, take what I've done to learn about it, but then do your own thing, push it forward. And
totally. And these guys sound like themselves no matter, what they're playing through, don't they, all the time? It's, so much of it is, is in the fingers and, in the way that people dial in an amp and, and all that kind of stuff. there's so much there, and you can get close to other people's sounds, but in the end, you kind of have to have a little bit of your own thing going on as well. And that's why I started up my originals band when I did, because I felt like the blues scene at the time was becoming, I used to call it the blues police, because it's like, unless you're playing like T-Bone Smith, Willie Walker from 1833, you're not considered a serious blues player or anything like that. And playing the blues scene in the UK was really tough. So I was a bit sort of, in my early 20s, I was like, screw that, I want to go and play some rock music and stuff. And so I started using some Marshalls and fuzz pedals, and since then I've kind of like brought it back to the Stevie stuff, but I still love John Frusciante, Tom Morello, and then right through to I love David Grissom. He's one of my favorite guitar players on the planet. He's just so good, and he does that, all of that stuff that he does, that perfect hybrid stuff of like Billy Gibbons, and like Albert Lee or something like that, all in one thing. He's just so cool to me. I love that. And what we was talking about right at the start, when you're so into that Stevie Ray way of thinking, I'm like, I can't even figure out what he's doing, shifting between major and minor, and putting chromatic passages in, stuff like that. I just couldn't really figure out what I was doing. So
yeah. Did you ever get into like jazz fusion or anything, like stuff that's like a little bit more edgy than straight ahead jazz?
Well, I used to go and watch Guthrie Govan play pretty much every Thursday at the Basement in Chelmsford, which is right by where we live. And like, you want to talk about getting humbled, like you go and watch that guy, and he's like standing there with like his roll up that hasn't been lit all night, and he's just like totally in that zone. And there's like 4 or 5 of these guys just playing together, and you're like, I can't even figure out what key they're in. They're just like, it's just on a nut. For me, I was like, I could appreciate it. It was mind blowing to me, but it never put me off. And I thought, oh, I'd never be able to do that. I can't be like that. I'd watch it and be so inspired, and it'd make me go and pick up my guitar. I mean, okay, I'd just end up playing the same old stuff, but I appreciated it, and and loved it. And I could just see that these guys, they're almost like all of them talking a different language together, but it all coming out as perfect English somehow. It was incredible.
Yeah, man. I had like, I went to Berkeley and I got super humbled going there. Yeah. That school is all about like taking the big fishes in the small ponds in which you live in and throwing you into a situation where you ain't the big fish anymore.
No.
And it's that was great for me. Like, I've never been the kind of guy that has been like, go to a show, see a guy play great guitar and be like, I'm never going to pick my guitar up again. I'm always like, all right, great. Now I got stuff to work on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was good for me there. But like, there was 18-year-old kids in like a, Grant Green lab, guitar lab, that were burning players. And I'm a 28-year-old, young man. And it's just like, okay, that kid has been drinking some water. I don't know where he's from and how he got to that point, but it's just like, you can never get it's never ending, man.
Every day is a school day. You're learning stuff every day. And the good thing with the store, you I mean, not so much now, but you hear people coming in, even guys that are like, just starting out, you can still pick up little bits and pieces that you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think that of doing things that way. And there was times in the past where I'd hear someone trying a guitar on, and I just go, hey, can you just show me that what you did just there quickly? And they're like, oh, I don't even know what I did. I don't know. Did I do that? I'm like, yeah, that thing at the third fret. Oh, cool, yeah.
That's so cool, man. What a great, I mean, dude, yeah, it must be just like a playhouse every day for you. Like, I know there's a business involved, and like, you got to worry about paying your employees and forecasting guitars and all that. But like, you got to walk in that door every day. And as soon as you open that door and you see all those guitars, it brings a smile to your face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And back when, under the normal trading conditions, over a year ago, obviously when you walk into the front door of the store, and there's like a walkway we've got like the saloon doors that open up, and you walk in there, and people just like, I look around and see the store, and you never get tired of that. You know, all the guys that work there, we walk in, you know, you just get on with your work and doing that. But, you know, you just stand there having a cup of coffee and you see some customers come in and they're just like, where's their phone? They're like, get their phone out. I've got to film this. This is amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, I love all that stuff. You know, it's great, you know.
I can't wait to experience it myself, man. Honestly, one day I will, and I'll let you know when I'm coming because it's on my bucket list, man. So,
yeah.
All right. So, end of the show here, John. I do this.
You're
thing
not putting that metronome on me, are you?
Yes, I am.
No.
This is the lightning round get down. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions.
Right.
And if you want, John, you can explain your answers, man. Like I love hearing explanations, but if you don't want to, you can just burn right through.
Right, cool.
First one's always the same. Lennon or McCartney?
I'm going to say Lennon because it gave us Donny Hathaway's version of Jealous Guy.
That is the best Lennon answer I have heard yet, my friend. Well done.
If anyone hasn't heard that, check it out. Donny Hathaway, Jealous Guy. It'll blow your mind.
I was just playing that Wednesday night on the piano, and my wife was like, "What is that? I know that." And I'm like, "It's Jealous Guy." She's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're with your boys. Take a plane to go on a trip, or take a road trip.
Road trip.
Okay. Candy bar or biscuit cookie over here?
Biscuit cookie.
Okay. Marshall or Hi-Watt?
Marshall.
Bridge or neck pickup? All night. You got to play on one. Pick one pickup to play on all night. Bridge or neck?
It's got to be neck.
Okay. For a superpower, would you rather have super speed or the power of flight?
Flight. It has to be flight.
Okay. All right. Would you rather the rest of your life, every traffic light you come to is green, or never have to stand in a line again?
Never have to stand in a line.
Okay.
Never have to stand in a line. Only because of coming to the NAMM show every year.
Okay. All right. HSS or SSS?
SSS.
Okay. And then the last question. Sometimes this is easy. Sometimes this is hard. If you could choose one album to completely erase from your memory so you could listen to it for the first time again, just to experience it for the first time, what album would that be?
I think it would be probably not what people would expect from me, but I would say it's probably Blood Sugar Sex Magic from the Chili Peppers.
Okay. Why?
I just think at that time, when I first heard it, you know, I first heard it in its entirety, you know, years after it came out. I just think I was at a time, you know, when the Blues Police were pissing me off and everything like that. And, you know, when I just heard the start and the whole thing, like the power trio effectively with a singer, it was like, it didn't feel a million miles away, but it had so much power and attitude. And like John Frusciante, I know he's, you know, guitar style to a lot of people, he's very angular and, you know, and he's solo and he's pretty wild sometimes, but I think he's such a great songwriter and his riffs and everything are so great. And there's that magic of Chad, Flea and John, when they play together, you know, those guys were born to play together and they'll never find the magic without one of those guys in there.
No, they never will. And any guitarist that is there when John's gone is like, all right, I'm on borrowed time.
Yeah. No, that's
time
like, I'm just going to take the money. I'll take the money, you know, and it was good while it lasted.
Yeah. Who was the last guitarist that they had right before John came
Josh Klinghoffer.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to. So last year I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. And they were coming to Baltimore last March and they, you know, COVID happened and they canceled it. But
that's right.
I think he was supposed to be opening for Pearl Jam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I watched an interview with him the other day, and it was just about to happen, and that was around the time that John was going to come back to the Chili Peppers as well. So it would have been a good way for him to, you know, get out of the Chili's and, you know, start making it on his own. But, you know, no matter how big or famous you are, it's affected everyone.
Yep, that's true. Well said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. John, of course, man, thank you to you. And bringing all those toys and showing us all this cool stuff is so enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
So you can hang, John, but
yeah,
everybody else, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.